All right, LGO, what's good? JCC here. We'll just stick with the abbreviations.
Absolutely. I love it. All my good friends call me LGO. So yeah, there we are.
How have you been since our podcast? I can't even remember the episode it was, but I'll make sure it's aware for everybody here. But it's been a few months. You've been on book tour all over the place.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I had so much fun on your podcast too. It was great. You're such a great
Likewise.
interviewer.
Thank you, thank you. It's easy when I've got great guests and great energy and great messaging as well, like what you have with Limitless and the book, and just your story is incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I've been it's funny. It's funny to say I've been good, but
Mm.
I've been good. I mean, look, I'm home with my husband, with my two teenage kids. We're healthy. Our close relations, our close friends are healthy. And I feel like, honestly, everything after that's kind of gravy. So, we have very good friends that are in the healthcare industry. We have good friends that are educators. We have good friends that are that are in politics, that are out there every day on the front lines, literally sacrificing their own healthcare to take care of the rest of us. And if all that's required of me is to sit on my couch and to come up with content for my next book and my next online course and my next keynote and all that, I can't complain.
Is it true what they say? Most people don't move the needle in a new project or level up their life or their business because the old, biggest excuse is I don't have time. Is it true that now we have been given the time, and do you think people are using it wisely? Do you think you're using the time wisely?
So it's very interesting. I've been going back and forth on this because I think that there are two types of people in the world right now. There's like the productivity porn people, the like, if you don't get something done right now, it's because you never really wanted to and you never really had interest. You lack discipline. It's not that. It's like you just don't care. And then there are the people that are like, it's all about love and kindness and self-care. And anybody who tells you you have to be productive is just being mean.
You're
It's
talking about
okay.
everyone in LA, right? That's the second group of people.
Oh
They
my
call.
God. So we have this like two camps. And what's hilarious about it is that the productivity porn camp people are looking at the, like also call them like the passive aggressive,
Mm,
the passivity people, right? Where they're looking at the
sure.
passivity people and they're pointing fingers. And the passivity people that are talking about how fingers are being pointed at them are pointing fingers back and saying you're mean. And frankly, there's not kindness on either side of that. Now, when I was in when I was in college, I was bulimic, and a lot of people who had an eating disorder when I was younger. And the thing about having an eating disorder is that it has actually nothing at all to do with your body image. It really has everything to do with control. And my
Yeah.
lack of control when I went to college and I was away from home and I had to figure everything out for myself, it manifested, the mania of that manifested in this bulimic spiral. Now it's a lot of years later and many decades later, and my mania of I don't have any control of what's happening in the outside world is not manifesting in an eating disorder. It's manifesting in
Mm.
productivity. So for me, I am more prolific in my writing. My workouts are harder. I am eating healthier because I'm so conscious of how do we use this, these leftovers so that we're not wasting food here because I can only get Instacart to come every 10 days or 2 weeks. And so it's funny because we have these people like it's all about self-care. And then we have other people who are super productive. And my super productivity isn't coming out of the fact that I'm an annoying, super productive person. It's coming out of my need for self-care. So, I think that everybody should do what they need to do right now in this moment. And if what you need to do is write your great American novel, awesome. And if what you need to do is curl up in the corner in fetal position, awesome. Like it is like the very definition of my book is how to ignore everybody,
Mm.
carve your own
Yeah.
path and live your best life. So like, yeah, ignore everybody. Like there's no right way to do quarantine. There's no right way to deal with the pandemic. Do what you need to do for you and just ignore everybody else.
You said a key word there, control, that I think is where a lot of people may be struggling, where I think when you interject a significantly stressful situation on any person or group of persons, it's innate. It's going to happen. I mean, this dichotomy really of struggle, of give and take, of control, I think is what we probably deal with most first. How would you kind of effectively communicate to someone who's there, who feels like, what should I do? Why should I bother doing anything that I have no control over, tomorrow? What can you walk us through control?
Yeah, so I think that the idea of control feels very overwhelming when we're watching 24/7 news.
Mm.
And I was doing really well. I was like, so this is tomorrow will be, or no, today is actually 1 month that we've been home. So I'm
Same.
in Boston,
Yeah.
and yeah, 1 month, right? You guys in California are hit
Yeah.
just on the coast we were hit earlier. And as you move into the middle of the country, people are catching up. And so I was doing great. I was productive. I was cleaning the house. We put up a whole like posted chore system. I'd organized my pantry. I knew exactly what we had. Like everything was good. And then somewhere around the 3 week mark, a week ago, I saw a photo from CNN that had a picture of a healthcare worker in New York City with a mask on and gloves on. And he was in a forklift, and he had a body bag on the forklift, and he was driving the forklift to a freezer truck.
Oh,
And I saw that and I thought, oh my God, like this is what's happening. And then I saw the next headline, which was that the Pentagon has just requisitioned 100,000 body bags. And it was like headline after headline. And then I had one of those nights of sleep where I couldn't, I just couldn't get into a sleep. And I slept like 3 hours, and I woke up the next day and I was just broken. It was just,
wow.
it was terrible. And I've been doing these every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Facebook. I've been doing these live, I come on and I
Yeah.
talk for 20
Yeah.
minutes to my tribe. And that morning I got up and I woke up like 3 in the morning, and I was just gutted. I was just at a loss. I was done. And I started scrolling social media. Of course, it's just a thing you shouldn't do. And I found this song by Ben Platt, who is the lead singer for Dear Evan Hansen for the Broadway show. And it's this beautiful song about people who feel lost and people who feel out of control. And it's "You Will Be Found." And I did this thing and I was like, people, I don't have much for you today. Here's what happened to me in the last 12 hours. Here's something I tell you all never to do. And I did it anyway. Now watch the song. And I held it up and I just wept. I just openly
Wow.
wept to all of my
Wow.
people. And I got so many texts and messages throughout the day saying, thank you for not being in control. Thank you for showing your vulnerability. Thank you for showing us that it's not always going to be perfect, and we can experience this and feel this. And so I think the idea of control, that we can control everything, is this panacea. I can't control what's
Mm.
happening in the outside world. I can't control that my neighbors are still going, out to the park in groups of people. I can't control what our politicians are going to do. I can control what I do. I can control the news that I consume. I can control what I read, what I listen to, who I talk to. I can control how I talk to my family members. I can control what I put in my body. I can control how much I move my body. There are things that I can control, and there are things I can't control. I mean, look, you're a
Mm.
vet, span of control. What is in your span of control? And
Hmm.
and this is
What's in
what
my
I
line
can.
of sight? Really, that's it. Yeah.
That's it. That is all you can do. And what you can also control is giving yourself a little grace, so that when you
Hmm.
fall off the wagon and you start reading all the news and you snap at your loved ones and maybe
Yeah.
you don't do all the right things, you can correct it. Those are the things you can control. So yeah, if you're feeling like you're out of control right now, I see you. I am you. I feel
Hmm.
you. But tomorrow's a new day. We can get better.
When you're looking at these things on the news, like many of us probably are or have been and will again, one thing that stood out to me was this kind of sensation of guilt
Mm,
almost. Actually, my wife and I were talking about this the other day. She is a registered nurse. She is just a couple months away from being a nurse practitioner, and
mm,
she is just in school right now. And when we look at these headlines, when we look at the medical personnel, the soldiers, the men and the women, how they're on the front lines of this viral war, like she had this really strong sense of guilt, like I should be out there, I need to be doing something, this is what I signed up for. And then, I'm the same way. I can remember back to a lot of times literally during wartime when like I'm supposed to be out there, I'm supposed to be, we feel like we're supposed to be doing more because we want to, or we should, or we think that we could. But I think what you said there is really important, giving yourself some grace. So going from maybe guilt when you look at these headlines and being feeling possibly guilty of your health and your safety, and maybe you have a skill set that can help somebody and you're not, like, it's a very, very unique time right now. If you can go from guilt to giving yourself some of that grace, and then I think finally stepping into some gratitude to alleviate that guilt, just being grateful of where you are, is a huge mindset shift.
yeah, and I think there's a key question that you can ask, that your wife should be asking herself, which is not the question we always ask when we see horrible things happen. We ask, how can I help? Right?
Mhm.
How can I help? What can I do I jump and put myself in the middle of this? And when we ask that question, we do things like send teddy bears to Newtown, Connecticut when the elementary school gets shot up. We send flammable stuffed koala bears to Australia when the country's on fire. We send, milk to Japan and winter coats to Haiti. And we send stuff and we do stuff and we pat ourselves in the back with this short-term cathedral of comfort that we built for ourselves because we want to feel like we've controlled something.
Sure. Yeah,
And
that's true.
right. So that question of how can I help says, if this is the thing I have to offer, how do I shoehorn it into the problem that's here? And a better question to ask is the question, what needs to happen? So what needs to happen right now is your wife needs to finish her degree. Your wife needs to be rested. Your wife needs to be ready for when they call in the reserves. She's going to be there and
Very
able
true.
to come back. Right? What needs to happen for me? My son this weekend was bored, so he watched an online cooking class and he made donuts. And we texted a good friend of ours who's an OBGYN at Mass General who is dealing with the toughest cases of really severely at-risk patients. And she's there every day, and she was finishing like a 72-hour shift or something that just seems illegal. And we texted to our family and her family group chat. We made donuts. We're going to drop them off at a box in front of your house. And she texted back and said, yum, that sounds so good, but I'm, 56 hours into 72 and I'm not going to be home. And my first thought was, oh, we should drive them and drop them off at the hospital. How can I help? But that would not have helped at all, right? That would have made us feel good, but it would have demanded that she comes down, that she sacrifices time with the patients, that she puts us at risk, she puts her at risk, and clogs up the streets in front of the hospital where other people need to get there with ambulances. So what needed to happen was we needed to just send her love, find out when she was off, maybe make donuts again 3 days from now when she's home. But the difference between those two questions is the difference between feeling guilty at best and doing something that's actually going to muck up the solution at worst.
That's a really good point. And I really think in there of when you ask yourself this question, if you are asking yourself this question of what can I do to help? Well, right now, like brutal honesty, there's a very, very small percentage of the world that actually can help, that is qualified, that we need your help and you know who you are. But in other ways, like asking yourself that question needs to come with quite a few other follow-up questions. What can I do to help? Well, is it safe for me to help? Is it safe for me and myself and my family? Is it safe for that other person? Like you said, there are a lot of other steps now that come after that we probably didn't have a few weeks ago or a month ago. So this is where I think we get the opportunity to think about this here in the now. But I think kind of have that mindset shift to something that's going to help us in the future of when we want to do something, when we want to instill control over a situation, not just doing it for the sake of doing because it might help us, get that pat on the back right there, but also like making us pause and really think through the question, think through the action, and really think about everybody else involved. Maybe pull a little bit of the ego out, just be more mindful overall. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of times we do feel the need to do something, right? Because action feels better than stasis. And I'm all for action, but it is understanding that just because you're a hammer doesn't mean every problem's a nail. And especially now, I think that there are so many things that need to happen, like that our healthcare workers need more PPE and more masks, right? You can sew, you can donate. There are things that we can do, but there are also actions that actively take away. So I think the emotional exhaustion of dealing with the lack of control and dealing with the guilt, it's there, it's real. All pain is local and exquisite, and if you're feeling that right now, I want to honor it. It's real. However, it's not serving you. And for me, people keep saying things like, I just can't wait till life gets back to normal. And my question that I'm asking them, and what I'm realizing that not everybody's ready to hear, is the normal that you're going to get back to the normal that you really want? Was it the normal you really wanted before? So rather than spending this time having the guilt or the lack of control or the fear, it's more thinking of, well, what is the normal that I want to get back to? What do I want my life to look like? And how can I spend my time right now, even if I'm not writing the great American novel or creating my grand opus, taking small steps so that I can, when life does open up and we move forward into the new reality, it becomes the thing that we actually want to be. That's something that we can control right now.
I agree. Absolutely. And I think after this, there is no going back to normal. Also what was normal before, who knows what that's so subjective. We will have a new baseline. There will come a day when things begin to open up, when it's approved to go hang out. And even then there's going to be some caution, rightfully so. It's going to be a reestablishment in a lot of different ways. But where I think we will better set ourselves up for success come that day in our communities and our businesses is to not detach right here, right now. There is, yes, social distancing, but it really should just be physical distancing. I've heard in your stories and your content more so than ever, myself included. This is the whole reason for this summit right here is, we are really doubling down on our connection and pouring into our communities, because we need that as human beings to get through this right now, but also B, our audiences. I feel like with who I am and what I do and who you are, what you do, it's kind of like, hey, here's your ultimate test for what you've been telling us this whole time. So how are you pouring into your communities right now? And what are your communities really grateful for the most right now?
It's really funny. For the first couple of weeks of quarantine, I didn't really do anything. I was kind of quiet. I'd write some stuff and put it out there. And I started getting texts from people asking me sort of what I was thinking about and how I was handling this. And what I realized was that I do have a community that follows me. And that felt very braggy at first. And,
Sure.
and it felt almost like a lot of pressure. And
Yeah.
what I realized was, well, I could get online and I can have a perfect green screen behind me and I can put on my makeup every day and I can look perfect and I can have the perfect lighting, or I could just get online and just be me. Because I think that we're seeing a lot of people who are trying to get online right now with like the fake West Elm, furniture behind them, or, the like space or wherever they are. And some of it's funny, but
mine's real West Elm furniture. I'll just throw that out there. That's not green screen.
No, but I wrote this screed the other day that was like super anti green screen, because the idea behind a green screen is that you want to hide who you really are. And I think we've spent so much time with internet influencers, social media influencers who are like telling us how our life should be while they're wearing their flower crowns at Coachella.
Or the misconception that you need to make something better, like what you have isn't good enough.
Right, what you have isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, it's not just that I want to hide who I am from you. I never really wanted you to know me in the first place, is what I'm feeling when I see somebody's green screen. And in fact, that makes me lonelier than before. Right. So, what my tribe is looking for from me right now, how I'm trying to serve them, is I'm trying to show up as my most authentic self. And I write a lot in my book about your fundamental state of leadership, those moments when you're at your very best, when the thing that you love to do, that you do super well, is being called upon to solve a problem that you care about. And you're being rewarded for it some way, whether it's financial or emotional or karmically, that is meaningful to you. And so I am trying to show up right now, not as what I want to be, but as how I want to be. Because
I like that.
the what I want to be is a best-selling author who travels around the world and goes on book tours and speaks to thousands of people at a time. Guess what? That ain't happening. So the only thing I can be, if I can't be the what I want to be, is I can be the how I want to be. And I know that future money is worth more than current money. So, and what I mean by that is that there's no money right now in what I do. Right. There's just there are some virtual gigs. There's
the travel, the speaking, what you're used to. Yeah.
I don't want to do a virtual gig, a virtual keynote talk, because it just cheapens the keynotes that I do when I'm on stage and the experience that the audience has from me and the emotional transformation that happens in that room live. But there are lots of other things I can do virtually, like this amazing summit, right? There's incredible things that I can do in the virtual space. And for me, it really comes down to how can I be that person? Again, another military reference, be worth the trip, right?
Sure.
Right? Like if somebody goes down on a field, you got to go and get them. You don't leave them there. And so if somebody's going to spend any time with me at all, anytime listening to my Facebook Lives, anytime working with my online course, anytime reading my book, Audible, any of that, I want to be worth the trip. And so here's the deal. My fundamental state of leadership, my very best version of myself, is the only thing I can offer right now. And if I offer that to anybody who needs it right now, there's no current money in it, but I know that that's laying a groundwork of trust and love and service, that when things do open up and there is opportunity, there's current money. There's going to be a lot of opportunity there for me, because I've spent this time building up those relationships, building up that foundation. So future money is worth more than current money. And if I show up as the truest sense of myself, as the real version of me, bringing what I can bring to all of my people, same with all the people who are listening to the summit, they all have special gifts. They all have special relationships. And if they can bring those gifts to those relationships, then when things open up, there's orders of magnitude of opportunity
Yes.
that will
Yeah,
be.
absolutely. Well, I got to say, it's been great connecting with you again. We're going to get ready to roll on to the next speaker here real quick. Laura, Limitless, we got the book behind you there. I'll make sure to link that, that podcast from before, but that's the book. Where can someone connect with you right now if they want to get tapped into your community?
Yeah, so we said in the beginning, LGO. So all my good friends call me LGO. So they can find me at Hey LGO on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then
Cool.
heylgo.com connects to my website. Super easy. So
Awesome.
easy to find me there.
Appreciate you. Well, Laura, stay safe. I'll see you on the other side of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for doing this amazing summit.
Yeah.